So I get to kick us off tonight, and sorry about the arrangement in here. As you've probably heard from your sons, or hopefully have heard from your sons, lunch is a little bit different these days, and I think they're enjoying it, but the setup does kind of divide the cafeteria this way. So, only two? So I'll talk a little bit about a couple of the things that have changed when I'm done with prayer, but I do want us to start with a quick prayer. If we could just do the sign of the cross in the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, we ask you to bless this school year. We ask you to bless the families who are gathered here tonight, to bless their sons as they journey forward into their final year at St. Thomas Academy and look forward to the horizon of college and their next steps. We ask you to bless the faculty, the staff who are supporting their sons, and we do this in your name by praying the Our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. So welcome to the beginning of the end of the journey for your boys, at least your senior boys. We are here tonight to just talk about the senior experience, to give you a whole bunch of information as to what to expect for those of you who are going through this the first time or the only time. Some of you are pros at this too, so you could probably be delivering this, and maybe we should invite you up, but we won't put you on the spot. We started off this year doing a few things differently. Obviously, we've had a couple of changes in some key personnel slots, which I'm sure the boys have shared with you too. And I just want to take a couple of minutes to just set the stage for it in case there are questions. First off, I open the year, every year I open the school year with an address to the student body to talk about either an issue that's going on in the community or to just provide some focus for the year. And I use the opportunity to reflect on the mission statement of the school that the board revised last year, which at its core has a very succinct message that the purpose of the school is to develop boys into men of character. And with that, the board identified four core institutional values: faith, integrity, respect, and excellence. And this year, we've chosen as a faculty and staff to focus on the core value of respect. And what I shared with the boys, and I don't want you to necessarily go to YouTube and look at the video because I don't like myself on tape, but just the essence of the message was, we live in a time where respect seems to be in short supply. And we are asking these boys to be prepared to go out into the world, to be confident in who they are, and to have a sense of self-respect, to know what it means to be a man of character, to show respect to others, to show respect to the opposite gender, to show respect to people from different backgrounds, different races, and when they assume positions of leadership, how to engage with people across the spectrum in our society. And ultimately to show respect for the institution as well. And what does that mean? And looking at ways in which they present themselves at school, whether it's being prepared for class or carrying themselves with wearing their uniform properly and things along those lines. So it's a very quick message highlighting something that's a message that we stand for as an institution, and just trying to highlight why we want this to be the theme for this year. I think we are inundated with examples of respect not being shown in our society. And they get inundated with it through social media, through humor that just goes back and forth and sometimes gets out of line. So just know that that's the core message that we've delivered this year at the beginning of the year. You've probably also heard some comments about formation. Colonel Hetherington, who's our new Commandant of Cadets, came in with a very clear idea, having observed last year that there were things that we could do better and that we have always stood for, but wanting to do things crisper, sharper, better. Being clear about what the standard is and helping the boys reach that standard and maintaining it. So you may hear a little bit of grousing about, well, formation isn't as fun as it used to be, or things along those lines. I would ask you to reserve judgment until you see a formation. It looks good. The boys are doing well. They're responding well to it. And your sons, the seniors, are showing the leadership that we're asking them to demonstrate. And the young men who have taken on officer positions are leading by example, and they're making the adjustments. So please just be with us and support us on this. Understand that there is a reason we're doing this. We want them to take pride in what they're doing, and we want it to be just a little bit more formal than it has been in previous years. The senior speeches are still going to be fun. There's still going to be opportunities to celebrate and act goofy at formation. Lieutenant Colonel Cooper the other day made a comment. He was saying that he meant to say that the soccer team was going to be excused at 2:15, but instead the soccer team was going to be executed at 2:15. We aren't getting that serious, so trust me. But everyone was able to laugh about it. He's able to laugh at himself. So please don't think we've all of a sudden gone off the deep end and have become super militaristic. This is just trying to get to a standard that we think is consistent with what this institution stands for. On top of that, on the other side, hopefully your boys have been talking about the lunch program and that they do feel like it's been a significant improvement to what they have experienced in the last couple of years. This setup here, the setup in there, it's different. We're using plates, we're using silverware. You can't imagine the amount of trash that we've already reduced in the first 3 days. It's great for us as an institution to be kind of promoting those standards. The provider is really good, but we're gonna still have some bumps along the way on this. They've definitely propped up with extra staff, and so we expect that things are gonna, you might hear your son saying, the lines are pretty long, it goes really slow. They've got lots of choices, and it's kind of like the first time you go to an all-you-can-eat brunch buffet or something, and you take like 12 plates or whatever it is. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But if you were to do that every day, eventually you're probably gonna adjust your behavior for some reason or another, because you can't keep buying clothes, or you just realize, like, I'm just tired of this. And so we do think the boys are gonna make some adjustments in their behavior overall, that they're not gonna, I mean, I've seen some boys with taking 5 plates of food like piled super high. I expect that to kind of settle down a little bit once they get used to the fact that, oh, you are serving pasta every day. We don't have to eat 2 plates of it, and things along those lines. So you are welcome to come and observe. I'd encourage you to come at the beginning of a lunch period at about 11:35 when you can see it all nice and pretty, because by 12:55, you don't want to look at what our lunch line looks like. So we're very proud of the fact that this program's seeming to be received well, and it's strong nutritional value. They're going to continue to work with coaches, with school, to make sure that what we're providing nourishes young men for all the different activities that they have. So that's just a couple of the changes that we've implemented this year. It's been an exciting start to the year. Your sons are great. The seniors are doing a nice job. We're having fun, and it feels great to have you all here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Edel to run the rest of the evening. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Matt. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to go through tonight, and if we're going to get you out in the time that we promised, I'm going to get right to it. My portion of the evening is going to be talking about important key dates in the first semester, as well as the senior service requirements that your sons hopefully have undertaken. So if you'll flip to the second page here in your handout, I'm just going to go through these dates. Many of you who've been around have been to some or all of these events at some point in your tenure here. Dates change. We do have a change with homecoming and alumni weekends. This year we've split the two, so I'll go through that with you as well. Okay. Next week, or not next week, but pretty soon, September 10th, we've got back to school night. If you recall, back to school night, you'll follow your son's schedule throughout the day. We'll have class periods that are roughly 10 to 15 minutes long. Your son's teachers will go through just an introduction to what they expect in class and introduce themselves to you if you've not already met them. So that's September 10th. On the 17th, we've got Academic Awards Night. That's the night that we will be distributing awards to your sons. You're invited as well. It's an invitation that you'll receive in an email, and it's for the Sabre, Torch, and Eagle Awards. So if your son earned one of those 3 awards from last school year, he will be invited along with his family to attend that evening, okay? September 19th to the 22nd is Alumni Weekend. Again, we split the Alumni Weekend and Homecoming Week. Previously, they were joined, and for a number of reasons, we've decided to split them this year. So then October 1st through the 5th is Homecoming. On the 3rd is Grandparents' Day. Okay, so it's right in the middle of Homecoming Week. On that day, of course, we have our Mass, and we also have our big review out on the football field. So that'll be on the 3rd of October. On the 10th is the Senior Application Day, School Day, SAT. We have an early release that day. Okay, so our faculty and staff will be in professional development. We have an early release that day. Just please note that. Parent-teacher conferences, November 7th and 8th. Same time, both nights, 4:30 to 7:30. Okay? And our fall conferences will take place down in the gyms in Flynn Hall. So in Holt's gym as well as Schoberg Flynn gym. And then I received a number of emails based on tonight's event. We have a second senior event, our senior parent event. We have scheduled it tentatively for March 6th. So please mark that down as well. And then really lastly, June 6th is graduation. It'll be here before you know it. That is a Thursday night. So last year we were on a Wednesday. Traditionally we kind of been on a Thursday. We're back to a Thursday this year. So please just note that well. Any questions about any of these events or dates? You can find them all on our calendar as well. And there's many other events that take place in between all of these. But these are like the main events I think that are important to note for senior parents. We're good? Okay. Senior service hours. So we had a junior service fair in April of last year. We have it every year. And it's for, I guess, the juniors, the to-be seniors, to select service agencies that they can work at for their summer service hours. Okay? They can work up to 30 hours at those agencies, and many of your sons have. I think 50, we've got 50 confirmed emails of the 140 that did complete their 30 hours this summer. If your son has not done that, he can still obviously complete these hours. If he has completed the hours, he needs to have a confirmation email sent to Mr. Seidel. Okay, we need to get that in as soon as possible. So the remaining 90 seniors that have not turned that in or that haven't completed it, they'll have additional opportunities as well to complete those hours. But as a senior, you need to complete 40 hours. 30 hours has to be at an approved agency. Okay, so one of those agencies that were used at the junior service fair, or a lot of the agencies that we use for senior service projects also will come up with these hours. They're approved agencies. And then 10 hours in addition to that in service to others. It's a very broad description of the work that needs to be done, but pretty much they can work anywhere for that extra 10 hours. So 30 at an approved agency, 10 at an external agency that serves others. If you have any questions, Mr. Seidel is in charge of the service projects. He's in charge of our service program. Please email him, Joe Seidel. There's his email and there's his phone number, and he'll get back to you as soon as possible. He's tremendous. Are there any questions about service hours? Okay, good. I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Academic Life, Michelle Mechtel.
Good evening. Thank you again for being here, and you made it, senior year. It is crazy to think that summer went by so quickly, and I have been seeing many of your sons in my office already, just talking about their schedules and their classes, and yes, do they have to take their senior year world language class, or can they drop that? Does it matter to their colleges? That's the biggest question coming forward to my office right now. But first, thank you so much for sharing your sons with us. We are honored to work with them. They have been a great class to work with, and they are starting the year strong. And my message to you is brief. Just please support us in supporting your sons, and we want them to start strong and finish strong. So I think my message, the biggest message that I share with your sons every day, is to just continue to be strong in their academics. Sometimes we get to that second semester of senior year, and it is winter, and they are tired, and they have been accepted to their college, and they are done. And they think it doesn't matter, second semester doesn't matter, and it absolutely does. And so our courses most of our courses, short of the English courses of the senior year, are year-long courses. And so they cannot drop a course at the quarter or semester, even if they aren't doing as well as they could do. So they are bright boys, and they really want to do well, though they do get a little bit of that senior slide. And I work with college counseling, Mr. Edel, Mr. Rome. We all work together to keep motivating them and encouraging them. But at home, if you are ever feeling like you are at your wit's end because they are just sliding, give me a call. Call me earlier rather than later, because many colleges, and I know our college counseling team will tell you, they do request sometimes second semester grades. And so if your son is getting a D and it is second semester, they may need to report that to their college, and it could very well change not only their admissions criteria, but also their scholarship opportunities at their college. So please, if you have questions or concerns, or you're just noticing a dip at home, reach out early, because we will absolutely help support you and support your sons. The second part of that message is any AP class that your son is taking. If your son is taking an AP class, we really want to reiterate to them that that means they are also taking the AP exam at the end of the year. You can imagine May, it's beautiful. They are almost out of here. They are looking forward to college. They are talking about their senior service projects, but we need to get them through those AP exams the first 2 weeks in May. And so we are really stressing to them that they should try their best. Even if they are, they're at the college then, by that time they will know where they are attending college and if their college will accept the AP credit. Regardless, it is a course here that they started. It is weighted differently than the other courses. It's weighted at a 1.2, and we expect them to not only finish the course strong, but do their best on those exams and really show their learning. So please, anything you can do, and I'll remind you in March to just encourage those boys to do well on those exams. It would be greatly appreciated. So if you need something from me, please don't hesitate to call or email. I know that Mr. Erickson and Mrs. Gutierrez will talk to you as well about just finishing strong in May, and we'll have another opportunity to chat in March. Thank you. I think Mr. Rome is next.
So first off, I'd like to acknowledge that when I put on my tie, I didn't consider the sports coat I was going to wear, so I understand there's a lot going on right here. So I need to maybe talk to Mr. Sundberg about some style, maybe look a little bit better. So I want to talk about a few things. This summer, a huge focus for our school was around school safety, and I'll try to be as brief as I possibly can, but on Thursday of our back to school week, we spent 3 hours, and we had some law enforcement in to help us talk about how we were going to react in the case of a worst day in the school's history if we have ever had an active shooter and violent intruder in our building. And so I want to bring that up today because I think That's been unfortunately a part of our reality. And so we as a staff have been trained in a response to these situations called ALICE. And ALICE is an acronym that stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. None of those things are in order. The whole idea is that in the situation we have an apparatus set up so we are informing people the best we can with the most up-to-date information of what is happening so they can make decisions to save their lives. We will be going through training with the boys on this. We do have to address this with the guys so that they know what we expect out of them. We will try to keep it as real as it possibly can be, but we're not going to scare the pants out of people. We're just going to talk to them about the reality and that we want them to be able to make decisions empowered by information that would save their life in the event of the worst day of our potential lives, if that ever happened here. So I want to bring that up without getting too much in detail, that more stuff will be coming out. Every time we do a training with the students, we'll make sure to communicate with you to kind of let you know what we're doing. If you are interested, you could go and look at what the ALICE, I hesitate to say branded, opportunity or response to these situations, but they do have a website you can go to and you can learn more about it. But just look forward to more of that information coming out. To support that, we did a lot of things to our building. You've probably noticed over the course of the last couple of years, we've enhanced our security as when you enter into the building, you can get into the vestibule, but you can't quite get in. Now, Mrs. Dorn, and who's here, Katie Dorn, who sits down at door 23, or Vince Flynn Hall, she has access to allow you in remotely from where my new office is, right behind her, where Bob Slater and Julie Marks used to sit in the athletic, that we should be the AD's office. That is my new location with Mrs. Doran, so she can actually welcome guests remotely and ask them why they're here. We're asking even the most familiar of you, which a lot of you are here so often, that we all follow a procedure to sign in and wear a guest badge so we can keep track of visitors and understand why they're here. So that might be a little bit amped up formality in that way. We really want to balance our approach. We are all here together and we all know each other so well. At that same time, we have a lot of vendors, a lot of visitors, and so we just want to make sure that we're all following a procedure. So if you will just help us with that, that'd be fantastic. And Ms. Dorn, am I forgetting anything about safety in that realm? Okay. Please feel free to chime in if I've glossed over anything. So lots to come about safety. We've improved our communication in the building. We are certainly, as a staff, more prepared for these. I think if you were to talk to the staff members who went through the training, they feel like they have a better option now if they were ever in a situation where an active shooter or a violent shooter happened to breach our security system. So that's all I'll say about that. Just know that we are taking it very seriously and we are on the way to being as prepared as we possibly can be for those eventualities. Senior attendance. Attendance is important, and Mrs. Dorn and I work daily to track down the boys, daily, hourly. We really want to make sure that this is something that, it's a big deal. Being here matters. We are not an online school. I know that we push a lot of technology on you, and we're really trying to use technology appropriately, but the biggest thing about this school is that your presence in a classroom matters, and nothing can take place of the interaction that happens daily between your sons and their instructors and the other adults in the building. So please make every attempt to have your son here. If he can't be here when school is in session, you should contact Ms. Dorn as soon as possible. One of the things that happen often is that we'll find out that a kid has an unexcused absence in a couple classes, and then all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock and we're trying to account for this guy, and it's all about knowing where that boy is so we know that he's safe, and that's really all this is about. So if you know your son's going to be gone, please call Mrs. Dorn on the attendance line, and you'll start your day off with a wonderful conversation with a nice, supportive, and positive person who's also a mother of a senior. On the attendance front, seriously, Katie, is there anything else we should add on that? Do you want to? I'll give you the mic.
You can call me Katie. Your sons call me Mrs. Doran, and I'm so blessed to be here with our class, our sons, and partnership with Mr. Rome. Yes, I do attendance. That's a main part of my role. So like he said, please call as soon as you know. Maybe when you book the appointment for your son, you can even email me ahead of time because I can put it in our database ahead of time so we know where they are. I'm so lucky that I was here last year so I could observe senior behavior. I'm not saying it's going to be the same. My son is my oldest, so I'm going through the senior mom part for the first time, but I'm not new to attendance for seniors. And so let's just work together on making sure they're safe. We have a big campus. We are always in touch with each other throughout the school. Have you seen so-and-so? Oh yes, I know where he is, we're good. So number one is the safety and making sure they're in class because that's where you want them to be, that's where I want them to be. So call me, try not to text me if you know me because I put my phone away for personal reasons, but emails and the phone line is great. So we're partnering together for our class and our community. So thank you. I'm really blessed to be here and to know our sons. So thanks, Mr. Rome.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie. She does treat that job as if, she is a mother, but she does look out after your boys as if she is their mother as well. So that we're really lucky to have Katie down there looking out after our boys. We could go on forever about attendance. Let's just make sure that when we're in session, we can be here, and if not, we'll make it. We'll make sure that there's accountability for it. College visits. We all know that at the end of this journey is hopefully the place where our boys are going to spend. Your boys are going to spend 4 years getting a college level education. The college visit system has changed a little bit lately. Now there's a lot of visits in the spring, a lot of visits obviously around MEA. When you confirm those visits when your son confirms those visits that they're going to take with Ms. Gutierrez or Mr. Erickson, please know that we would still like to know that you're planning a college visit so we can just put that in as his attendance record so we know that on that day, if he's not here, that we know where he is. So just let Katie know that he's going on a college visit. We'll just code it CV in attendance and we'll all take care of. We'll know that on Friday the 31st that they're off to All Points College, right? Okay. Advisory. I'll be very brief about advisory. Each one of your sons has an advisor that they meet with every single day. We mix that in with a lot of the opportunities we have to do lots of things during the day meet with clubs, meet with their moderators for clubs, meet with other students to get together. But part of the advisory for the seniors this year is we're going to bring in some, I'm going to say strength finders. I'm going to commit to it now. We were very long down the road of bringing in strength finders. Some of you probably know what strength finders is. You've probably used it in your organizations before. But what we wanted to do is try to get these boys to start to be able to, especially as they go through the college application process and trying to figure out and discern where it is they want to go to college. We want to give these guys a little bit of language around what it is inherently about them that's really awesome. Gallup tries to figure out what the top 5 strengths are based on some questionnaires, and then kind of do some lesson planning with their advisors throughout the year around those kinds of things that they learn, and maybe not learn, but maybe discover that, yeah, that is something I'm really good at. And it kind of gives them a language that they can start to talk to, acknowledge about themselves, that which they already know and maybe feel, but never really had any kind of a way to talk about it. So that's one of the things we're going to be doing in advisory with advisors. And the last thing I'll talk about is health and wellness. Once again, super challenging this age to stay away from weed, to stay away from alcohol, to stay away from vapes. The vaping thing is an insidious problem. We're going to try to educate people about that. We've done some research to figure out what our numbers are at this school, which we're going to be talking about later on in the school year. I guess I would like to just summarize very quickly that it isn't as bad as people might think. We have a pretty decent group of kids here making a lot of good decisions. We obviously have some problems, and any support that you can do, obviously you're on the front lines of that. But just to be very clear, there are consequences that come with using chemicals. And I know that a lot of you are hesitant to partner with the school because you don't want your sons to have a punishment, and you don't want your sons to sit out in athletic endeavors, and you don't want your sons to miss opportunities. But I guess I can't explain this enough. And I tell this to the boys, and they throw it back at me like I'm not serious. But this is not, I am not in the business. I'm not going to get into what I am, but I am a very happy man. I don't get pleasure out of chasing boys down and catching them vaping in our bathrooms and smoking weed and drinking alcohol. That is not anything I'm interested in doing. What I'm interested in doing is making sure that our boys, the graduates of St. Thomas Academy, have the opportunities that lie before them. And I believe they will not achieve all they can achieve and be all they can be if they're using chemicals. And we want to partner with you to make sure that we are supporting your sons if they are being challenged in that endeavor. So please help. Let us be a part of that. You have to make that decision as your family. But if your sons are struggling, please let us be a part of the solution. That is one of the reasons your sons, you've chosen this school, and we take that charge very seriously. We want to help you. We have resources, whether they're in the building or resources outside of the building, to help your son stay chemically healthy and avoid the traps that are out there. So, senior speeches. I guess I got nothing else to say about that, but I can't reiterate enough that we just want to help you guys get through this, and we're on your side. We're on your side. We want to help you. Help these guys be the best they can be, who God meant them to be.
Somebody's record was stuck there briefly at the end. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Doug Hoverson. For those of you who do know me, I'm Doug Hoverson. And I am kind of the executive advisor to the senior speech program. I actually have very little power, but I try and help out as a resource wherever I can. And I'm just going to say a little bit about the senior speeches, because not everybody has been through this before, either as a parent or an advisor, and I got to be both of those at the same time 2 years ago. When my son was a senior, I was also his senior speech advisor. And for many of you, and some of us as well, this may have a little bit of trepidation. If your son has a quirky sense of humor, you can't be quite sure what he's going to say. So each senior is going to give about a 4 or 5 minute speech at some point during the year at formation. We'll be starting these hopefully in early October, possibly even late September if we can find the right dates, and they will continue through the end of April. They will be done before advanced placement test season starts. The speech should be on a topic of importance both to them and to their audience. We'll talk a little bit more about the topics in just a second. We have been making adjustments with the program over the past several years. It used to live in the English department, but it was overwhelming them. So we've moved it into first a combination of volunteers and advisors, but we saw that there were some problems last year with having so many advisors, some of which did not see the students every day or even all that often. So it seemed like we would have more accountability and better relationships between the advisor and student if they just worked with their senior advisor as their speech advisor as well. along with the Strengths Finders, this is putting a lot of work on the senior advisors this year, but we've got a good group. They can handle it. So the senior and their speech advisor will be meeting throughout the year, planning their speech, drafting their speech, and practicing the speech within the advisory. We think it's really important for them to have a well-considered and well-practiced speech, because we see so many poor examples of public speaking in the world at all levels, in all walks of life. And we are hoping that they will learn to speak on topics of significance with clarity and with respect. Students are going to be scheduled for their speeches fairly soon and more or less at random. We will be getting the dates very soon, and we will start to drop the students in there. You have some limited ability to change the speeches depending on family circumstances. One thing I would caution you is try not to ask for it to be scheduled when older brother, older sister is coming home from college, because if that was the case, we would be having 50 speeches in either the days right before Thanksgiving or right around the Christmas holidays, and we really can't accommodate all of those. It'll be on video. They'll get to see it. So we'll be getting those scheduled soon. All the changes will go through Mr. Rome. Once I have this scheduled, I kind of step aside and go back into senior advisor status. I won't actually be coordinating this. We would really like the students to give speeches that express their unique talent, their unique experience, their unique point of view. One of the things that we're really trying to do with the speech program is get the speeches to be a unique statement of that student's experience of their life. And one of the things that's been a problem in the last few years is that the senior speeches have tended to the middle. We've had a lot of success in bringing up the bottom. We have had very few speeches that were inappropriate, and even those have been much less inappropriate. But we've also had kind of a lack of real stars. We have a few each year, but all of these students have a great senior speech in them, and we're hoping that the refinements of the program will enable them to give this really great speech. It should be meaningful and interesting to a broad audience. They have to speak to nearly 600 students, and this is from 12th grade to 6th grade, to the faculty, to a wide variety of people, not just their 5 best friends, and not just to their families. So they should have a clear point, and that does not mean their friends and their families cannot be included, but it means they need to be in there as part of a theme. So with that, we're going to try and make sure that their speeches have at least some relation to 3 of the Minnesota State High School League speech categories, either original oratory, informative speaking, or creative expression. Mr. Moe said earlier that senior speeches will still be fun. Some of them will be, and that's where the creative expression comes into play. A few years ago, we had opportunities for them to play music or do other things during their senior speeches. It's a senior speech. It's not the talent show time. There'll be other opportunities for that. So I will be available for any questions afterwards. I will be working with the senior advisors to help them give the best advice they can. Seniors who want to work with me on adjusting their topic a little bit, coming up with ideas, I will be available to them as well. But I'm going to encourage them to work with their advisor first. Now Jess Sutherland is going to talk about some of the logistics for making your students permanent or something.
Hi, I'm Jess, along with Stephanie Hydorn and Claire Bloom. We are the new yearbook moderators. We wanted to go over a few points about senior photos. The yearbook is really important to us. We know that last year was a little rough for some people, and that's why there's 3 of us. So we are taking this very seriously. Your sons do need to take school photos. That's happening next Friday. It's for their school IDs, and if you choose to order those, you can, but mostly they're just used internally on their IDs. There will be a chance for you to register for senior portraits, hopefully via our website. I'll be speaking with Deborah Edwards about that, but I'm working with Brian Edel. That will likely take place sometime in late November, early December, once promotions are received. And I will be sending out an email to all of you about getting that scheduled. You have folders in front of you, either blue or gray, and there is a lot of information in there about how you can honor your senior in the yearbook. So we have the senior squares. I think the next slide. Thank you, thank you. This is just a cute little way to honor your son. Baby photo, 30 words. We really can't handle any more than that. It's usually just a nice little message from the whole family. You'll see some examples in front of you. And that can be emailed to me, or we might find a way to submit it online, but my email is attached there, and that's probably going to be the simplest. As for the senior portraits, along with that photo, there's also activity and award information. We have a list of activities that you can select for your son. Accuracy is important for us, and that's why we're kind of laying it out for you. There is a place for you to submit that on our website. So if you could go and fill that out, it'll come directly to me. If you have any issues, feel free to email me. We also want to know about awards. I didn't want to do the same list because it can get overwhelming. There's a lot of awards out there. Our kids are great. But there is a guide for you in that packet just to help steer you in that direction. Again, any questions, email me. You can call me, but I don't answer my phone. So email is best. And if you know Claire or Stephanie, please reach out to them as well. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. Oh, senior speech recording. John Giroux, who is in the back of the room right now, is in charge of recording all of your senior speeches, and he is who you'll want to reach out to about getting a hold of those. Any questions? Thank God. All right. Mrs. Goldad.
Hi, I'm Chris Goldad, and I'm the Mothers Club president for this year. And right now, I bet you're feeling pretty overwhelmed. I know I was when I was in your shoes, with senior speeches and apps to fill out and ACT scores to boost up. It's all crazy, but it's a ton of fun. And the one thing I know is it goes really, really fast. So with that, I'd just like to welcome and encourage you to stay connected to the community of STA and the events that are going on. And I'm just going to let you know about 2 events with the Mothers Club that are kind of bookends to the year. But the first one is coming up October 10th. It's the Harvest Mass and Meal for Moms or guardians or special female people in your son's life. And it's in the evening, and it starts at 6 p.m. It's a mass in the chapel, and then we come back here for a relaxing, lovely meal with friends. So that's October 10th. Make sure you register online. I think Deborah Edwards is getting that set up right now. And then the second one that happens in the spring that I want to remind you about is the senior mom, again, or guardian or special female person in your son's life, senior luncheon. And that's going to be during the day. It's May 14th. So May 14th at 10 a.m. It will probably end approximately 1 p.m. But that's, your sons will join, I think it's an early release day, and they will join a little bit later. And they say some really lovely things about their moms and their gratitude. And so bring your Kleenex. It's just priceless, because I don't know about you, but my sons aren't telling me that every day. So you really will not want to miss that. So again, the dates that October 10th for the Harvest Mass at 6 p.m. and the Mom-Son Senior Luncheon May 14th at 10 a.m. And you can register for all those events online, and there are many more. Those are just the 2 bookends I want to make sure you don't miss. So have a great senior year. It goes fast.
Hi, good evening. Norma Gutierrez, College Counseling. So a lot of you probably already know us, and like it's been stated, can you believe your boys are seniors? It's a fun, exciting time. I love fall, but it can feel very overwhelming. I've been very, very impressed with your boys so far. Many of them have worked really hard and spent a lot of time with us over the summer. But don't fear if your son wasn't with us this summer, it's okay. There's still time. Casey and I are starting to meet with the advisors. We started this week, and we're just doing some basic stuff. I know you can't see me over the thing, sorry. I'm a little short. So we are working on matching their Common App. Most of the boys probably will be using the Common App. We talk to the boys if they're not using the Common App, what schools, and if it's better for them to use the Common App or not use the Common App. But anyway, we're going to the advisories and making sure that everyone has their letters of recommendation, they know what to do, they feel good about their lists, if they want us to help them build their list, and just kind of make sure they're on track. And many of your sons are coming in to see us already during lunches, their lunchtime and flex time, or asking to meet with us after school, before school. So believe it or not, most of your sons are on the ball. They may not be telling you that, but they really are. Next slide. So to-do list, it can be really overwhelming. We have had some boys and some parents share with us that their sons sometimes feel stuck because they don't know how to start. And that's basically what we do with them, is try to get them just to sit down, let's breathe, and together we can sit down and start the application. And I feel like once they get started, then everything typically starts to feel a lot better once and not so daunting of a task. So right now, like I said, we're asking them to try to finalize their list, and an application doesn't mean that they're committing to the school, typically, unless you're applying ED. So we're telling the boys, expand your list. We're going over the list, make sure they have a nice grouping of for sures, their dream schools, and backups, because we want to make sure that come spring of their senior year, that they're in control of their options. We don't want them just to have one admissions decision that they're not happy with, but let them and you all make a decision as a family that's the right fit, both where it is, the type of school, and financially, making sure all the pieces in the puzzle, so come May 1, they're feeling good about where they're going to go for next fall. So one of the things that we really stress to the boys is if you're applying early decision, you really need to let us know. That is a binding contract. You sign the contract, your son signed the contract, and we sign the contract. And the contract states if your son is admitted to that institution, you are saying that your son is going to go there. It's super scary. Most of our seniors do not apply ED. Every year it's usually about 7, 10-ish, if that's a high number, maybe 5 or 6. 5 or 6 is probably more realistic. It is scary, and it's a big financial big financial burden to think about that if your son's admitted, you know you got to pay this much money. So we do have lots of conversations with making sure that as a family, this is a good decision. Early action is non-binding, and most of those deadlines are November 1. So we are stressing to the boys, a lot of times it's just better to get it done and shoot for November 1 to get these applications out. And there are some schools, typically the highly selective colleges, that if it is your dream school, that's what we'll tell your sons and we'll tell you, that ED could be maybe your only option for admission. University of Chicago, for instance, if you want to go to UChicago, I have yet to hear of someone getting in who didn't apply ED. It's very, very small numbers. And we talk all the time with our colleagues at other schools, but some schools, it really does improve your chances of admissibility if you apply ED. But again, we know it's scary. Early action sometimes, the earlier the decision, the better. Many schools are starting, one of the trends is as an ED1 and an ED2. So come fall, if you apply early and you're not quite sure if it's your number 1 school and then you want to wait until January to apply ED, a lot of the schools like UChicago have an ED2 as well, which is typically in January. Typically our boys feel a little better about committing to one school later in the school year. ACT and SAT. So what Mr. Edel mentioned earlier, new this year, we are not a testing site for the SAT. College Board, we asked to be a testing site, College Board wouldn't grant us that access. However, this year, brand new, on October 10th, we will be administering the SAT. So for all seniors who would like to take the SAT, it's a great time to do it. So that on that day, the boys who want to take the SAT, we'll have them in one room and take the SAT. The boys who do not want to take the SAT, they're going to be in a different part of the building working on completing their college applications. There is an online setup for it. It's under new parents. There's the link to get to it. It's the regular standard cost. If you were going to take the SAT at another site, it's the same price. So that's just a new option that we have that we're very excited for. The caveat there is I have to have at least 10 seniors that sign up for the test. If I don't have 10 students who want to take the test, then I'm not able to offer it. So just please, I think we'll have 10 just based on the conversations I've had with folks, but just to let you guys know that I have to have at least 10. Questions about the SAT? The deadline to register, I believe I set it for October 1st, I think. It's on the, I can't remember what I changed it. Because SAT told us a later date, but I pushed it forward just to make sure we have enough time in case I don't get the 10 students. There we go, September 7th? That's not right. I'll let you guys know. We just found this out and trying to get the information from College Board to make sure I pass it on to you. It's a little bit earlier than what SAT wants, just to make sure we have 10 kids. Yes?
If you don't have 10 students, will you let us know so they can register to take it somewhere else?
Yes, but although they wouldn't be able to take it on Wednesday the 10th, because visitation is not offering it, only we are, so the likelihood of them being able to go to another school on that day is pretty slim. So that's why I would prefer that you all register sooner rather than later, just to make sure that the students that do want to take it, we have time to switch their registration. Any other questions? Yes? Oh, yes. Good question. So the essay portion, we get that question a lot from the boys and from you all. Do we need to take the essay? Most schools are no longer requiring the essay. That said, there are a handful of colleges that do want you to take the essay at least once. So if your son has already taken the ACT once with the essay, then most likely he doesn't need to take the SAT with the essay as well.
If you go to a school that doesn't require the essay, let's say you have to submit it, you all submit it together.
For the ACT, yes. If you took the ACT, you can't pick and choose which sub-score you can send to different colleges. With SAT, with College Board, if your son took the SAT multiple times, there is an option called score choice that you can pick from the different test dates what sub-score you want sent. Good questions. It was very confusing. Yes? They told me it'd be standard time, so typically it would be about 4 to 5 weeks. Other questions about testing? So this is a huge one. So with deadlines, it's really important if the colleges your sons are applying to require the ACT or SAT. There are a lot of schools now that are test optional. Your sons need to log on to their ACT account or their College Board account and have their scores sent directly to the testing agency. This is typically the biggest hiccup that the boys experience during the fall because they forget that last step. And so they submit their application, we submit the transcripts, we submit the letters of rec, and then they receive emails from colleges saying that their app is incomplete. They don't read their emails, and then all of a sudden, a month later, they're in panic because their application's incomplete because they forgot to send their scores. So we try to remind them, but we need you to also help remind them. Just a good rule of thumb, at least 4 weeks before the deadline, send the scores. Every college is different with how fast they download the scores. Most colleges will say they get a tape from the College Board from ACT almost daily, and they load the scores daily. Other colleges only do it once a week. So it really does differ from school to school. So it's just really important that don't forget to send your scores. And some schools will require, like Georgetown, that you have to send every score you've taken for ACT and SAT. So just keep that in mind, it's going to get pretty pricey. So talked about that. So we have asked the boys to really try to get everything done by December 1. Again, just come spring, we've talked about, senioritis kicks in, there's finals coming up, there's so much going on, they're getting more and more excited as the year goes on. So the more we can try to get them done this fall, the better off everyone and everyone's stress level is going to be come the holidays. So we really do stress that to the boys. And we also stress the importance of the email. Please check their email. When colleges are sending out decisions, if they get a decision like a wait list or defer, every college has very different languages. University of Michigan, Ann Arbor is famous for that. They basically wait list or defer everyone who's been admitted, regardless of how strong of a student they are. Then they wait for they wait for the sons to respond to their emails. How interested are you? And so when your sons are not looking at their emails and not responding to what the colleges are sending, the colleges assume they're not interested. So it's super important they have to check the email. That's how how they talk to your sons, via email. So we're constantly telling them, have you checked your email? And usually the response we get is no. So please help us. Anything else about that? So I talked about October 10th. Again, if your son's not going to get the SAT on that day, we won't keep them the full time. So this is something we started a few years ago. And it's a great day. We divide the boys into smaller groups. We try to keep the classrooms about 15-ish or so students. We pair them up with admission representative. We ask for volunteers from a variety of colleges around the Twin Cities. And the boys, it gives an opportunity to the boys for head down, get your applications going. Work on your essays, work on your application. We only keep them for a couple of hours. I bribe them with donuts. But we find that after about 2 hours, they're done. So that day, if your son's not taking the ACT, I usually let him go around 11-ish, if not sooner. But again, it's just a great opportunity of forced working on your colleges. And if your son is already done, and there might be, every year there's always a few that are completely done with the college process and submitted their applications, then that gives them an opportunity to work on scholarships. Because there's so many outside scholarships, sometimes our boys get a little lazy, believe it or not, and they're solely relying on scholarships they're receiving from the colleges. And some colleges do a really nice job at packaging and give you nice awards, but some colleges do not. And so for those colleges, it's really important that they get extra money, and there's so much free money available for your boys, it just takes time to sit down and write an essay. It's really not hard. And I forgot to mention on the first slide, we do have a new member to our team. His name is Nate Sillman. Many of you who may have worked with Mr. Bartek in the past, he indeed has retired. So we wish him well, and he's off enjoying his retirement and working part-time. And so Nate comes new to us, and his primary focus is going to be similar to Mr. Bartek, and that's working on scholarships. So we reminded him that sometimes our boys need a little more nudging to get those applications done, but he's busy trying to work to build up the database to make sure that it's available, and trying to make sure we let you boys know of all the opportunities that are available for them. That really is the best opportunity to get outside scholarships, because again, usually it's just an essay, so it's really easy. Usually they can write 1 or 2 essays and tweak it a little bit for the various scholarships. Naviance, okay.
Oh, am I speaking now? All right, well, the number one thing that we probably need from all of your boys is to keep Naviance updated. This is how we know whether or not they have officially sent information to a college, is by updating Naviance. So we ask that the boys do this on a regular basis. Not only do we ask them to keep us informed of where they've applied, but how they've applied. So it's very important that if they're using the Common App application in order to submit their application, that they mark that in Naviance. If they choose not to, then when we send the materials, they will not join up on the college side very nicely. And then we're usually calling that college asking where the information is. And the college says, well, they applied using the Common App. And we're like, oh, okay, well, that makes some sense. So it is important that when you're looking at students or when students are looking at their list, that they are accurately updating everything for us. When we're sending materials such as the transcripts. We're sending a profile of the school, giving whatever college a little bit more information about St. Thomas Academy. And then we're also sending the letters of recommendations that they've secured from their teachers, and also our written evaluation of the student as well. And so it's a lot that's being sent. And so we want to make sure that it's joined up on their side, because in many colleges, they're going to require 2 letters of recommendation and a written evaluation from myself and Ms. Gutierrez. So it is important that they keep it updated. Maybe once in a while, ask them if they're keeping it updated. We will make sure that almost at every point in time that they do. But it's just important, especially if they want all the information to be sent on time. We also ask that they let us know typically 72 hours in advance of sending it, so that we can make sure all the materials that they need are going to be sent along as well. So we know that doesn't always happen. I'll just say it, October 31st and November 1 are really late nights for myself and Ms. Gutierrez, because we're usually fielding emails from students saying, oh yeah, by the way, I applied to these 10 colleges. Oh, okay, thank you. But so we still do it, but we try to make sure that the biggest thing that we want is we want to make sure that deadlines are met. It seems like the college process is becoming earlier and earlier and earlier with applications. Most colleges nowadays have a first deadline, a priority deadline, or an early action deadline of November 1. If you're looking to apply to Georgia Tech or Texas A&M for engineering, theirs is actually October 15th. So a lot of times we're reminding our students that there are these deadlines that are out there, and you really, really need to pay attention to them. The other thing that Naviance allows you to do is definitely check for scholarships. And as you can see, it's pretty handy because it will also tell you all the different steps that you need to do with an application if you sent it. But more importantly, we also like them to update how interested they are in that particular institution. Interest will change throughout the calendar year. We understand that. But a lot of times when we're meeting with college reps, we also want to tell how interested your student is in that school, and it can easily be done through Naviance if they say, oh, this is my number 1 choice, or it's a really high choice. Demonstrated interest is taken into account at a lot of universities, not all, but it can become a differencing factor if we're talking about some schools that are really being conscious on how they are rolling out admissions decisions. So keeping that update is really, really nice. So there you can see, this is the student view. So it's got revamped. So if you've been in Naviance with your previous children and are like, wow, that looks really different, it is. We're still finding some things and where to look because they just revamped it this summer. So our students are this year's class is the first one that gets this type of like more interesting view. I will say this, it is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. The old one looked a little bit like Netscape, so I'm glad they've updated it a little bit. Yeah. Anything else for Naviance?
So one of the glitches that we're not very happy about is the fact that you have to add the school to colleges I'm thinking about first before you can move it to application. So it's just an extra click, sadly. So if you apply to University of St. Francis, clicking up here, you have to move it to application. This is where the drop down is, and this is where it said it's important to let us know how they're applying, if it's early decision or early action, early decision 2, and then this is also very important if it's Common App or directly to the institution and that you've sent it. If this is not completed, like Mr. Erickson said, we don't know if your son applied. We can't, sometimes your sons think that we can read their Common App, which if they give us access, we can. That is a new feature for Common App. And we've told the boys, if you want us to review your Common App, you can share it with us and we can see it before you hit send. Some boys just come in our office and want us to review the application with them before they hit send. Whatever works better for you all, it's fine by us. Any questions about Naviance? It's really cool. It's really neat. I like it. The Compare Me button. Does everyone know about the Compare Me button? That's where the boys can look and see. Top row is their information, and this is basically to give them an idea if they're in the ballpark or not of admissibility. If you have forgotten your login app information, just email Casey or I, and we're happy to reset it for you. Or you can go on yourself, and you can ask for it to be reset. We also have the boys, when we're meeting with them, to make sure that under the About Me, the My Stuff, that this all information looks right. Sometimes we find that the boys forget to list St. Thomas Academy to receive their scores. And so sometimes when your boys are on, or you're on Naviance, and you're like, I don't see the score from the February test date. That's most likely because your son forgot to list us to get our scores. Now, if you're talking about the July test, we haven't received all the discs yet. It usually takes a couple of months for us to get the discs from ACT, then we load them into Naviance. Any questions about Naviance or anything about college counseling?
Okay. Well, some additional opportunities to obviously interact with myself and Norma will be some different parent programs that we have coming up. So we have our monthly coffee chats. These are great opportunities. Again, come in informally. If you're just wondering about what trends are going on or just want to vent or give us a heads up on, following up with your sons on their essays, it's a good opportunity to do that. One interesting evening we have coming up on September 24th is our admissions application simulation night. This is when we do a case study. Some of you I know maybe went to it last year, but we're doing it again this year because I thought it was really popular with parents. Basically, this gives you an opportunity to review 3 applications and kind of go through the application process as if you were the admissions representative reviewing the applications. It is led by a pretty great group. I believe we have representatives coming from Pomona College, University of Miami, Ohio, Marist, SMU, and I'm missing one. But that's who we have coming. So regionally across the United States, different types of institutions, different types of different ways, I guess you could say, of how they would review a student's application. So it does provide a really nice opportunity for you to get a little bit more insight into what these admissions professionals are really looking at. So that is September 24th. Financing College Information Night. This is a joint meeting that we do with Visitation. That will be November 14th. So that'll kind of be it all, kind of like a speech just kind of going over not only the free application for federal student aid, but also different financing options for financing college, which we know is going to be a big part of the conversation. And of course, anytime that you wanted to meet with myself or Ms. Gutierrez, Norma, one-on-one, just email us. We're more than happy to meet with you and your sons, meet with you separately, or often we get the email, can you find my son and make sure that you sit down with him and see where he's at in his college application process? We're happy to do that. So I would say definitely utilize us as much as possible throughout this process because that's what we're here for. Last couple of reminders, of course, stay in contact with us. We have a lot of college reps that are currently visiting, and I think I counted we have 67 reps that are coming and visiting over the next probably 8 weeks. So they're going to be busy. It's okay if your students don't get a chance to see the rep while they're here. We can easily grab information for them. We don't want them missing class if they have a test or something else going on. But it is a really nice way to connect with the college reps that are intentionally coming here. We also will have a Jesuit school tour or fair that will be taking place here this fall as well. So a lot of colleges are going to be in the building over the next 8 weeks. So we're really excited for that. And hopefully the reminders that we send your boys and the reminders that we do at formation will prompt them to come in. We still want them to stay on track, of course, as Ms. Bechtel said, with their grades. Social media presence is a real thing. So I know that we've had a college contact us one time about one of our boys' avatars. Kind of an embarrassing conversation. So make sure that if their colleges are looking your sons up or just kind of checking information, or if they share anything with the college, they do pay attention to that sort of stuff. So just like for jobs, I'm sure many of you are accustomed to that. It's the same thing with college admissions. Many of them aren't intentionally going out there, but if they run across it, they will call us and they will let us know. And then the last thing I think we have up there is senior grades do matter, especially early on in the process. If a student is deferred or waitlisted or anything like that, the first thing that the college rep asks us for is, what are their updated grades? What are their senior grades like? I think a few colleges have even moved to not even providing an admissions decision until they see first semester grades. So it's becoming increasingly more important for the boys to continue to do well academically. We cannot stress it enough. It seems like every single year we hear about students being rescinded from colleges or losing a scholarship because they didn't keep their academics up senior year. Sometimes I feel like the boys don't really believe us when we say this, but it's very true. We see the case studies every year, and we hear it within the college counseling community all the time. So keeping those grades up, it can be the difference between a positive decision and a negative decision, especially in the springtime as colleges are finalizing their admissions decisions. Resources that we have, just in case you want to start looking for scholarships or checking out prices. These are kind of the main four that you'll see: the net price calculator, the free application for federal student aid, college scorecard, and FastWeb are just great resources if you're looking for any college-related information. I believe that wraps up everything. Are there any questions? There is a list of the college reps that will be visiting, along with their contact information as well. If your student wants to get in touch, sometimes the reps that visit here aren't the ones that are actually our reps from time to time. They're just doing it because they're in town. We can always get students in touch with our reps. We know them pretty well. Any other questions?
It's on our webpage as well, on our calendars. There's lots of places. But it's really nice, especially if your son has the college on his colleges I'm thinking about, he'll actually get an email from Naviance that says, I'm coming to visit on this day at this time. Other questions? So on the home, when you log into Naviance on the home page on the bottom, here's it just goes on and on and on and on. And on the cards in the back, hopefully you picked up the postcards. I did bring a bigger supply. That's just, it has the Jet Fair on there, and come the spring fair, you all are gonna be not needing our fair. But if you have siblings, if you have other sons or daughters, you're welcome to come to the spring fair. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for coming, and we wish you a wonderful senior year.